Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Now, I'm just showing that for a minute. I'm going to put it back up in a minute. Just because I'm trying to remind people to follow me on my social media pages, particularly on TikTok. If you're a TikToker, because I am about 3 followers away from 1,000 followers on TikTok. If you are a TikToker, if you like watching TikTok, please follow me on TikTok especially. But also, just to remind everyone, I have 2 YouTube channels. I have the Vicky Marie Chats channel, which is the true crime channel. I have the Spanish and English with Vicky channel. Please follow me on both of those. And I don't do much Spanish and English on that one now. It's mainly crime because people seem to like the crime on there as well. So I'm thinking of probably we'll set up a 3rd channel just doing the Spanish and English, separate it from the crime for those of you that don't want the crime, just want the Spanish or English. But at the moment, I've got the 2. I've got Vicky Marie Chat, Spanish and English with Vicky. On TikTok, I am at Vicky Marie Chats True Crime. Facebook, Vicky Marie Chats. On X or Twitter, whatever you like to call it, I am Learn Vicky 19. It's not 1969. It was 196953. I did have a Vicky Marie Chats account, and I got suspended because I made a comment saying that I thought that the new X sign looked like some sort of escort agency, and they took me off and suspended my account, and I can't use it. It's still there, but I can't actually post anything on it, so I'm using this other account. Good old Elon, and I'd love to have a premium account, but I don't feel like giving Elon Musk any money. And I've also got the Instagram, which is at Vicky Marie Chats. So just to remind you of my social media, if you get a minute and if you don't mind, please follow me on there. But thank you for those of you who already follow me on those things. Thank you so much. So in this video, we're going to talk about Jack and Lilly. And this case of Jack and Lilly is just getting crazier and crazier. Not crazier, more mysterious by the day, because over all this time that these poor little children have gone missing right from outside their home, there are no clues still, are there? Well, there was the blanket, the piece of the blanket that supposedly is a plant, thought to be a plant, that was taken out of the bin, that Daniel Martell told us someone had reached into the bin and ripped open the bin bag. And I don't think we still know, though, why the blanket was in the bin in the first place. Did somebody reach in? Did an animal take it? There's so many mysterious things about this case. And the latest thing is, of course, because a couple of days ago I showed you how Neighbours, 2 of Daniel and Malaya's neighbours, had declared that they had heard vehicles. And actually, one of the neighbours said specifically it was Daniel's vehicle driving around the property in the early hours of the morning, in the wee hours. The RCMP, the police there, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, have come out and said they have no verification of that. So all the basically, and that's what we're going to look at in this video. Well, a couple of things. So were the neighbours lying when they said they heard vehicles, or were they mistaken? And if they were lying, why would they lie? Is it just because they don't like Daniel, or have they got something to hide themselves? It's very, very mysterious case, isn't it? It's very unusual for 2 children to disappear, to be honest, in any circumstances. Even in foul play circumstances, in getting lost circumstances, having an accident circumstances, You know, all those things are, you know, mystery, complete mystery. Completely unusual for two children. So these are siblings. Four. Little Jack is 4. Lily is 6. Yeah, so unusual for two children to go. It's hard to kidnap two children unless you know them and you can get them into the car. Was there another car driving around? But wouldn't the police have been able to locate that? So, of course, and there's some relative of Malaya is saying that Malaya took the children, or somebody who knew Malaya took the children. He went on a dodgy YouTube channel to say that. And we're going to look at that as well. Can he be believed? You know, where is the truth here? And of course, Daniel and Malaya, and Daniel's mum, Janie, they've taken lie detector tests and passed them, apparently. So, you know, what the hell has happened to these kids? Where are they? You know, they've not been beamed up to the Starship Enterprise. Well, probably not. Has somebody taken them and they're safe somewhere? Now, that's always a possibility that Malaya did arrange for them to be taken, but surely, you know, the police would have found that out by now. I can't see that could be, you know, this is something that's often said. I think that's just being hopeful, isn't it? That they are alive somewhere and safe and being looked after. But really, you know, wouldn't the police know that by now? Anyway, that's what we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss it. I hope you'll join in discussing too. Remember, everybody has their views. Just be respectful, don't we, to each other, and we'll all have different views. I know a lot of people are convinced that Daniel is involved in this case somehow. And it may well be, but, you know, at the moment, there is not enough evidence against him, that's for sure, if he is involved. Anyway, first of all, I'm going to say thank you to everyone. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Very special thank you to my members. And, of course, it's Thursday night. We'll be on live 8 o'clock tonight, Spanish time, 8 p.m. Members live. If you want to join in the live, please join. Basically, why not become a member? And then we'll see you there tonight. I also want to thank people that PayPal me, buy me coffees, send super stickers, send emails, leave nice messages, even you trolleys who don't leave nice messages. Thank you for helping the algorithm of my channel. So, hi lovely lurkers, thank you for watching. Hi replay crew, thank you for watching. All you chatterati and snowflakes out there. And when I say snowflakes, remember that's a compliment. Snowflakes are all individual and perfect in their own way, like us. And now I'm going to come into the chat. We've got, somebody's been brave enough to say hello so far. Hey, Westside, how are you? I hope you're well. So, right, where I'm going to start here. I'm going to just show you again what happened the other day. This was the news that came out the other day about the neighbours supposedly having heard vehicles. Okay, and we're just going to watch that again. Let me see where it is. Just got to find which I've got, as always, all my windows open. Perhaps too many windows open, and I can't find the one that I'm looking for. Strange. Where is it? How do things disappear? Somebody tell me. I had a news article right there just to remind us, and it's gone, as always. Bad girl. Let's see. Yeah, I had a video. There it is. Let me share it now, of course. So, yeah, this was a short news article that we watched the other day that was saying about these reports from neighbours.
For the first time, we're hearing detailed accounts from neighbors who were awake in the quiet hours before 4-year-old Jack and 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan disappeared from their home in.
Thank you, Westside. That's very kind. Very kind. Thank you so much. Where's my thank you button? You know I'm not brilliant at finding buttons, but it's here somewhere. Thank you. Yay! Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you so much. Okay, sorry, back to the video again.
Pictou County. The children were reported missing from their home at 10:01 on the morning of Friday, May 2nd. According to court documents, neighbors.
Friday, May the 2nd. We are now on the 23rd of October. Oh my God, these children have been missing for so long. Please, I hope this doesn't turn into like one of these Summer Wells cases, Sebastian Rogers, where no answers ever come, because that is a long, long time for 2 little children to be missing, isn't it? And the police don't seem to know any more now than they did then. It's so sad. I mean, you'd think it'd be the easiest thing in the world to solve the disappearance of 2 children. You know, how can they not know what's happened to them?
Brad Wong told police he heard a loud vehicle coming and going 3 or 4 times after midnight and into the early hours of the morning. Wong said his house is at an elevated position from the children's home on Gairloch Road in Landsdowne, and he could see vehicle lights over the treetops. He said the vehicle.
So this was the first neighbour, Brad Wong, who said he saw a vehicle, etc. So that was one neighbour, but one of the other neighbours said the same thing. So, you know, you'd think if 2 people were saying something, it could be corroborated, you would think. Or are they friends and they're lying together? What is going on?
Would drive off in the distance and he could hear it stop and then return. He said it remained in earshot the entire time. Another neighbor, Justin Smith, told RCMP that at 1:30 a.m. he heard a car turn around by the railroad tracks.
Yeah, so another neighbour at 1:30 heard a car turn around. I mean, was he just mistaken? I mean, sound travels in these remote areas, because this, of course, oh, and by the way, in case people don't know, because I always have to remember really that new people, you know, watch these videos all the time. This is in Nova Scotia, in Canada, in quite a remote area. There are houses, obviously there's neighbours there. There are other houses near this house, and there's a road at the side of it. But, you know, it is a remote area and it's surrounded by woods, which is quite worrying. And we'll see later that something that when I was researching this video, I did find something out that I didn't know before, that there are bears in these woods. There are bears. So that's quite scary. But again, 2 children, like if a bear attacked, and it might conceivably take away one of the children, you know, it's a horrible thought, but it's a possibility. But 2 children, or were there 2 bears? You know, you just don't know. Just absolute mystery. But we will see that Daniel had put something up against the door, apparently, against bears. So that bears are something that are a possibility in that area.
Near the area of Gairloch Road and Lansdowne Station Road. He said it made a noise, then the vehicle was quiet for about 2 minutes, then drove off towards Lairg Road. Smith told police he later spoke with Wong, who informed him the vehicle was the children's stepfather, Daniel Martell. The court records also detail Martell's account of the evening.
So the second neighbour heard something, talked about it to the first neighbour. The first neighbour, Wong, Mr. Wong, he said he told him it was Daniel's car. He said he could see it was Daniel's car. But you'll see now, Daniel says he didn't leave the house. And the police cannot confirm that these vehicles ever were there. So what is the truth behind all this?
He told police he went to bed fairly early and didn't wake up until light the next morning. The document said the children's mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, told police she went to bed around 9 p.m. She said Martell stayed up and she doesn't know what he did. Brooks Murray has not responded to our request for comment. In several interviews, though, Martell has told CBC he had nothing to do with the children's disappearance.
Yeah, so Daniel's all over the news, isn't he? He likes to do his interviews. Malaya did one interview right in the beginning, I think. I don't think she said really more or less anything much since then. She's sort of, much more sort of out of the limelight. Daniel likes being in the limelight, but that doesn't make him a murderer. But, he's out there telling anyone that he had nothing to do, who listens, he had nothing to do with it. He's passed his polygraph test. And I know a lot of people are not convinced with Daniel's story, but we do have to remember we do not have any proof of anything else. He has not been arrested. And now the police are coming out and disputing the neighbours' account. Two neighbours who heard a car, and the police are saying they can't verify that there was any vehicle there. So where is the truth? And if those neighbours are lying, they'll be lying for a reason. Could be as simple as they don't like Daniel, or they think it's Daniel, or they misheard. Could be as simple as that, or it could be a sinister reason, that they might know something about what happened to the kids. And they're trying to cast shade on Daniel. At the end of the day, we don't know, do we? And if the police can't find any evidence, obviously they'll have looked at Daniel's phone, or I don't know what they'll have looked at. But, yeah.
Parents. And in a phone interview Friday, Martell said no one from the family left the property that night, and they did not have any visitors.
I didn't do anything. I know Malaya didn't do anything. I know my mother didn't do anything. Those are 3 people on the property. I mean, after the polygraph exams, they should have known right there. We didn't kill any of the kids, or we didn't kill the kids.
RCMP says the case is still being...
Still think that's a funny thing. We didn't kill any of the kids. We didn't kill the kids. Anyway, it's just thing is, who knows what you would say in these circumstances. My sort of things, there's a couple of things that are strange to me. Well, first of all, Jack had black eyes, at school and everything. And the explanations that Daniel gave of the black eyes were that Lily had done it, or that he'd walked into a door, or some, all those sort of things. So that's a big red flag, isn't it, that a little boy like that would have black eyes. And, I know little boys are accident prone, but it's unusual for them to have black eyes. They get bumps on their head, don't they, where they bump into things or fall off things. But black eye is a bit different, but, it's not impossible, is it? So, again, we don't know that Daniel's even did those black eyes or whatever. But so Daniel did admit that Jack had black eyes. We heard him say that in the interview we listened to with DT. But, And then, of course, the other red flag for me was from Malaya, where she disappeared the next day from that property, took the baby Meadow, off she went wherever she went, and did not wait to, and they'd only been missing a day, these little ones. Surely you would not want to leave until you knew what had happened to your children. So, yeah, so many weird things in this. Ultimately, 2 children are missing. 2 very, very young children are missing. It's a real mystery, I think, this case. Most cases that we cover, I suppose, are mysteries. Otherwise, we won't be covering them, would we? But just seems this to me, I cannot... I'm not really going anywhere. Sometimes with a case you think, oh, well, the evidence is pointing that way, to maybe the person who's the perpetrator, but I don't see that now. Sometimes I think, oh, Daniel must have had something to do with it. And then other times I think, oh, no, I think he's being honest what he's saying. And, so it's like... I've got to make an emoji for haven't got a bloody clue, because some cases are more straightforward. I think like with cases like Madeleine Soto was always clear that Stephen Stearns was guilty, wasn't it? Erin Patterson, even though we have to wait for the court case before we can say definitively. Sometimes it's the evidence is pointing that way, isn't it? But with this case, I don't know, it's strange, very strange. I just want to know what's happened. Hi, Lily. Just want to know what's happened to these children. It's heartbreaking. I mean, where are they? Anyway, we're going to look at this because I found this interesting. Is this the one or am I on the wrong one? Yeah, so this is just for us and for anyone who maybe doesn't know, a recap of the case. Where are these little babies? Where are they? So, reported missing from their home in Lansdowne Station, or Nova Scotia, on May the 2nd. Months ago. So the police, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, of course, had been very tight-lipped about it. But for some reason, and there'd be a reason, they've released these warrants. Now, they've been redacted. We haven't got all the information, but they don't provide any answers. But for some reason, the police decided to release these accounts from the neighbours, even though they're not verified. Why do you think they might have done that? What do you think? Are they trying to flush someone out, do you think? Why? Police normally do things for a reason, don't they? When they release information, drip feed a bit of information like this. Or maybe it's just because the case has gone cold and they haven't got a bloody clue what's that. So they're just trying to, I don't know, see what happens. But anyway, so a few slim details released by the RCMP about their investigation into the disappearance of Jack and Lilly Sullivan have rekindled online speculation, but the newly redacted sections of RCMP warrants don't provide any answers to what happened to 2 Pictou County children who were reported missing by their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, on May the 2nd. Also, witness statements contained in them are not corroborated by other evidence. It's very weird, isn't it? Don't you think? So why have they even released them? Is it because they're not relevant and they think, oh, we can release them because they're not relevant? Or is there more to it? Now, so Malaya, apparently at 6 o'clock that morning, that Friday morning when they went missing, at round about 6:10 a.m., she sent a message to the school, or whether it was her or not, this is something that's, bugging me. Was it her who sent the email to the school to say that the children wouldn't be coming in. That was at the crack of dawn, 6:10, something like that. Somebody, I mean, they say it's Malaya, maybe it can be proven that it was Malaya, sent an email to the children's school, said they were ill and they wouldn't be in. Then Daniel said that he, Malaya, and the baby, Meadow, their baby, were in bed and they heard Jack and Lily. In fact, he even said that Lily put her head round the door a few times. So he says he saw Lily at least anyway and could hear them in the kitchen. Now the grandma, his mum Janie, whose property it is, she said she heard the children playing outside, didn't she? But she did not see them. She just said she heard them. And then the next thing she knew, Daniel was shouting for them, shouting them, where were they, etc. So, yeah, Daniel and Malaya said suddenly they could not hear the children anymore. So he went out to see where they were, and that's when they realised they'd disappeared. So that's basically what happened that morning, or what they say happened that morning. So apparently in response to a court challenge by the Canadian press, the Globe and Mail and CBC, in September, the RCMP unsealed added sections of the warrant documents, which lay out much of their extensive investigation up to late May. God, I mean, when you think, they have done searches, they've done this massive investigation and know nothing, or not that we know anyway. With a court date looming where the media was going to seek more redactions be lifted, the RCMP voluntarily lifted more, but not all, of the reactions last week. So they include statements by two people who live near the rural property in Lansdowne Station that Jack 4 and Lily 6 shared with their mother, stepfather Daniel Martell, and his mother, Janie Mackenzie. Now, if you look at my playlist for Jack and Lily, you'll see that Janie took a reporter around the property, showed them around. We looked at that. Before. So it sounds like the police have been under pressure from the press to release it, and this is what they've decided to release. Now, have they just released this information because it's not really relevant? Or, I think the police are always in a difficult situation because, of course, this case has, gathered so much attention in Canada, particularly, of course, but internationally, where once YouTubers from all over the globe start talking about it. I've seen it on the Spanish news as well. Those of you who don't know, I live in Spain. It's all over the Spanish news. It's everywhere. It's one of those cases that's gained attention. The press, the mainstream media and social media, we all want information. But of course, the police have always got to think that somewhere down the line, there might be a court case. So they've got to be careful what information they give out, because they don't want that if it came to, a court case that somebody had done something to Jack and Lily, they don't want it to come to the point where the defendant, whoever it ends up being, if it happen, can, say they're not getting a fair trial because of information that was leaked years, before the trial. So they've got to sort of keep the media happy in one way, and the public, of course, because it is a case of public interest. When two children go missing like that, are other children in danger? Is this something where there's been foul play, in which case there could be other children out there living on remote areas that, might be abducted. So, yeah, 2 weeks after Jack and Lily's disappearance, one nearby resident told police he heard a vehicle go and come from the property 5 or 6 times. Now, the other thing is, so that'd be Mr. Wong, but that is a lot of times, isn't it? It's not just somebody saying, oh, I think I might have heard something. I thought I heard something, but, 5 or 6 times. That's a lot, isn't it? Hearing a vehicle, it's not just, oh, I think I might have heard something. That's a lot, and I think sometimes when you hear, I don't live in a remote area at all. So, but even here, like you do, quite often you hear cars going past. And like if it was the early hours of the morning, you notice it more, don't you? You don't notice it in the day because, that's just normal noise that you get in the day. But if like, I heard something at night at 2:00 in the morning, say, heard a car pulling up and going, I might not really notice it the first time, or it might just be, oh, that's, it's late for a car to be out. But when you've heard it 5 or 6 times, you start thinking, what the hell is going on, don't you? So it just seems odd to me that he would lie about that, or, is there a reason? And I don't think he could be mistaken. Like part of me was thinking, well, was he just mistaken? But I don't think 5 or 6 times you can't be mistaken. And then, of course, the other resident told police that around 1:30 a.m. on that morning, he heard a car on Highway 289, which runs past their home. And he heard it turn around by the railway tracks near the area of Gairloch Road and Lansdowne Station Road. The vehicle stopped making noise for a few minutes. So, yeah, you'd notice that when it stopped, and then you heard it start up again. So I don't feel these are either lies or they did hear these things. I don't think these are mistaken. Sort of part of me saying, well, maybe they were mistaken, but I don't think so. They're too specific, aren't they? So they're either lying completely about it, or it's true, and just that the police haven't been able to verify it for whatever reason. Don't know. So speculation in chat rooms and among self-declared sleuths operating YouTube channels, feeding into an international obsession with the case, is that this contradicts the version of events told to police by both Daniel and Malaya, that the children were put to bed at around 9 p.m. on May the 1st, and no one left the house until the morning. So that's it. They're in direct contradiction to what Daniel and Malaya said. The children were last seen in public the previous afternoon, based on security footage from a Pictou County Dollarama. So the RCMP followed up on the statements, looking at security and hunting camera footage obtained from properties in the area, and they said investigators conducted a thorough review of surveillance footage from the Gairloch Road area during the early hours of May the 2nd and found no evidence of any vehicle activity at that time. So this is what the RCMP are saying. So as such, no driver has been identified, and the presence of a vehicle has not been substantiated as a key element in the investigation. So what do you think of that? I mean, don't forget to let me know in comments what you think. Were the neighbours lying? Is it because they don't like that? I think Mr. Wong, I don't think he likes Daniel, or somebody was saying that. I don't even know that's true. So, we have to take that. Are they saying it just to cast shade on Daniel? Do they know something? Are they lying to protect themselves? Or were they having some sort of bloody hallucination? Or is it that just because the police haven't been able to verify it doesn't mean to say necessarily that it didn't happen? So the RCMP have received over 600 tips and have followed up on each. So the family's testimony, just a reminder of it, they said that on the and independently, because they're not speaking now. That's the other weird thing about this. So supposedly the night before it happened and the following morning, High Moonbeam, apparently they were, together in bed with the baby, but she then left the very next day. What happened there? We don't know what happened, do we? We don't know why Malaya left before she even knew what had happened to her other children. Anyway, so they said, so they were interviewed independently, not together. They've not been together on this at all. They said they could hear Jack and Lilly playing in the kitchen and that Lilly at multiple points looked into the bedroom. And after a period of not hearing them, Daniel went to check on them, but they were gone, along with their boots and Lily's backpack. A wrench. Now, this was interesting. A wrench that he'd wedged in the top of the door, in the top of the front door the night before, to prevent a black bear from pushing it open, was still there. Meaning the only other way out was a sliding door at the back. But that's the first time I've ever seen anything about a wrench that he'd wedged into, I must have missed that somewhere along the line. So there were bears in the area apparently then, were they? So when she'd wedged into the top of the front door the night before to prevent a black bear. So when they say a black bear, do they mean one particular one that had been seen around, or just knowing that they had black bears in the area? That's quite scary, isn't it? You would definitely make sure your children could not get out when you weren't supervising them if you knew for a fact there was a black bear in the area, for God's sake. I mean, that just completely blew my mind when I read that. And is this a possibility of what happened to these children? Was there a bear? But, that how could a bear take two children at once? Unless there was more than one bear. This is what I mean about the mysteries in this case. It just couldn't get any more mysterious, could it really? How much more mysterious could it possibly get? We've got cars that were heard by two independent witnesses that police say weren't there. We've got a black bear possibly hanging around. We've got a bit of Lily's blanket that was found on a bush that was thought to be a plant. We've got a child's boot print, some mysterious boot print out there. You've got two children that have just disappeared into thin air. How much more mysterious can this case get? You've got a mother who left the property the following day, even though her children hadn't been found. How much more mysterious can this case get? Good God. And in the meantime, these poor little mites, they're still, where are they? Oh, it's terrible. It's horrible, isn't it? Because, and even if, even for it to be foul play, it is unusual. Imagine killing two children. It's bad enough, if there was some sort of, I don't know, fit of rage or whatever. How much rage would you have to kill two children? That's a lot of rage, isn't it? I mean, just nothing makes sense to me. If there was some sort of altercation, or were they killed by accident? Or did they wander off into the woods? No idea. Or, maybe a spaceship did come and get him. I don't know. It just seems as likely as any of the other explanations. Shush. So, Daniel's mother, Janie Mackenzie, who lived in the backyard in a camper, said she'd heard the children playing outside that morning, fallen back asleep and woke to Daniel calling their names. So yes, she did say she'd heard the children. So if Daniel's lying, she's lying as well, because she said, hey, she said she heard them. Now she can't stop. She can't have heard them, can she? If Daniel had done something to them, or did she hear them, or did she just think she heard them? Again, you think, is this a lie, or is it just, sometimes you think you hear things, but you don't, so I don't know. So at around 10 a.m, Malaya called 911, which led to a massive search of the woods, roads and waterways near the home. And in the following days, Royal Canadian Mounted Police Major Crime would begin a large investigation that continues. So the release warrant applications are for GPS tracking data, communication and other records from the cell phones of Daniel and Malaya, video recordings from school buses, electronic records from companies in Montreal, Toronto and Halifax, whose names and purposes are redacted, the banking records of Malaya and Daniel, Text Plus messages from May the 1st and 2nd of 3 redacted phone numbers, and in other parts of the warrants, Malaya is said to have used Text Plus. Video recordings from the Kobe Quid Pass toll booths, closed circuit television footage from a redacted location. So we're 6 months on from the disappearance of Jack and Lilly, and if the police have any clues of what happened to the children, they're keeping them close to their chests. Because really, to all intents and purposes, we don't know anything, do we? We don't know anything. Now, let's have a look what this man had to say. So this man, he's Malaya's relative. Darren Geddes. Now this guy, he's been on another YouTube channel that I'm not going to mention. They're not one of my favorite YouTube channels, let's put it that way. They're going to mention it here. So Geddes is believed to have appeared on a YouTube true crime show, It's a Crime and Shame, under the pseudonym Durwood O'Grady, where he put forward a theory that Malaya put the children in a vehicle and sent them away before reporting them missing. But it did say that his comments could be wrong, could be speculation. Sorry, I obviously speculation. Don't you think? Hi, Pamela. Yeah, you could be right. You could be right. Could be the black bear thing. Could be, that's what you'd say, wouldn't it? If you were responsible and you were trying to make it look like there's a possibility a bear might have taken them, or, they said, but this is what I mean about this case. It's just like, who's telling the truth? Just don't forget, whatever we think of Daniel, he passed a lie detector. Several, I think, more than one anyway. So, have these neighbours had to take lie detectors? Somebody's lying, obviously. If Daniel says he was in the house all night till first light the next day, and Malaya supports him in that, then either they're lying or the neighbours are lying, saying, so, this is what I mean. It gives me a headache, this case. gives me a headache. And yes, the RCMP, they haven't said, oh, there definitely wasn't a vehicle. You're right. They haven't said that. They've just said they cannot find any independent verification that there was a vehicle. So, you know, but not that that makes it any clearer, I don't think. So, yeah, this guy, he's suggested he knows the location of the children. He did a TikTok as well. I saw him on a TikTok thing. And, you know, what does he know about it all? Well, the police have interviewed him. So he has suggested in social media posts that she may have been involved in their disappearance. But this is his theory. He has also suggested he might know the location of the children, an RCMP investigator wrote. So on May the 30th, 2 RCMP members met with Geddes, who told them he had spoken with Martell a few weeks after the kids went missing, and also spoke with Patty Pearson, Malehya's grandmother, about the investigation. And the constable said that Geddes was confrontational and evasive to questions asked of him, and he wanted police to provide him with information about the investigation. And he became upset when the questions were not answered. So on June the 26th, Malaya gave police a video recording of a phone conversation between Pearson and Geddes, who is Pearson's first cousin. And the conversation was recorded on the evening of June the 21st. And it's not clear if Geddes knew he was being recorded, but there appeared to be an expectation of privacy. It's not clear from the records exactly what Pearson and Geddes said during the conversation. So the RCMP told CBC News on Monday that the recorded statements were reviewed to determine relevance and credibility. So he was interviewed on July the 4th. He shared similar theories, but the information could not be verified. So we've got all these theories, all this information, and nothing's verified. The only thing that's verified, and to be honest, Daniel was right when he said, you know, they've got the lie detector test. He's loving that he passed the lie detector test. But did he pass it, you know, because he's telling the truth, or did he pass it because he knew how to pass a lie detector test? So the children's disappearance in May sparked an extensive grid search that spanned 8.5 square kilometres of mostly dense woods and involved around 160 ground search and rescue volunteers, service dogs, drones and helicopters. And the mysterious nature of the case, fueled by lack of answers, has garnered international attention. It certainly has. I mean, it most definitely has. It's garnered our attention, that's for sure. You know, I think about this case a lot because, you know, at the end of the day, these are just 2 little children that have disappeared completely, literally, these kids, where the hell are they? You know, they how does a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old disappear into thin air? It's impossible, but it's happened. And if Daniel does have something to do with it, which I'm not saying he does because I have absolutely no idea. This is Daniel and Malaya. They're very young. I mean, they're young. They've got loads of kids between them, you know. It's like, so there's Jack and Lilly, there's Meadow, and then I think he's got 2 children by another relationship. So between these 2 very young people, they've got 5 children. 5 children, my goodness. Malaya's only about 24, I think. He's a little bit older, but I don't think he's even 30 yet. 5 children, my goodness. So, yeah, where are they? And do they know where they are? I mean, I hope Malaya does know where they are. But I don't think she would have... Listen, if Malaya would have arranged for the children to be taken to protect them from Daniel, let's say, that seems to be the inference, doesn't it, that she's trying to get away from Daniel, so she arranged for the children to be taken away. I think by now she would have told the police that. Maybe that is something she thought. Maybe she didn't realise it would gain all this attention. Like, I don't know. But I just don't believe for a minute that she's arranged for those children to be taken away, and she hasn't told the police yet after all this time. And when, where are they? You know, who can they be with? Who would, after all, this would be all over the news, won't it? People know that if they were found out to be harbouring these children, when the police are spending, thousands of dollars on looking for them, that's big trouble that you're going to be in when it's found out that you're hiding them from the police. After all these months, I don't believe that they are. Unfortunately, I wish they were alive somewhere, playing on their PlayStation or, being looked after. But I just don't think they are. But I don't think they went into the woods either. But I don't know what happened to them. Literally do not know. Daniel always looks like the prime suspect, doesn't he? Just because of the fact he's like the mother's new partner, and to all intents, I know he's not properly their stepfather, but to all intents and purposes, he is there. He's going to be the most likely suspect, but he's passed his lie detector, and they can't pin anything on him yet. They don't even know that Jack and Lilly are deceased because they've not found any bodies, have they? So it really is a complete mystery, this case, isn't it? Just can't see how it could be any more mysterious. And the other mystery is, why are they not speaking? What's happened? Were they already splitting up? And, because it just seems funny, like instantly after the kids go missing, that's it. She's not speaking to him. He's been accused of stalking her. He does seem like a stalker to me, but I mean, I don't know that for a fact. But, a couple of times when they've gone to, because of course, Meadow, their other child, the child that they have together, she's been, she's put in foster care. So they don't have custody of the baby, neither of them. So they're going to visit the baby for supervised visits. And it seems like some unknown reason, they quite often have one visit after each other. So Daniel has turned up there knowing that Malaya will be there, and he went and surprised her at the car. Do you remember that? We looked at that. He admitted this himself in his interview, that she was getting something out the car, and he turned up and spoke to her, and she probably shit herself. And he said, oh, and you know what? She smiled. Well, yeah, she will have smiled, because she would have been terrified, and she would have been thinking, oh my God, I hope you don't get angry, and you'd have that nervous smile, wouldn't you? So, and he made a big thing of that she'd smiled at him. I thought that was really creepy, to be honest. I do think Daniel's got stalker tendencies, but I'd like to know what happened between them. Why are they not together? Something's happened, I think, and unfortunately, maybe these children have paid the price. I don't know. And of course, we can never get our head around the fact that mother could do anything to her children, but they do in this crazy world, don't they? They do it. So, if Malaya is the one that's actually done something to her children, she wouldn't be the first mother, unfortunately, to do it. So it's very sad. But of course, it could have been if some, so there's quite a lot of scenarios here, isn't there? There's Did they just wander off into the woods and, you know, have an accident or get taken by a bear or some sort of animal? Or were they taken by somebody else, like maybe one of the neighbours or somebody who was passing on that highway? Was it arranged by Malaya that they should be taken away to get them away from Daniel? Did Daniel do something and Malaya's realised it and that's why she doesn't want to know him? Or did Malaya do something? Or, you know, who did it? Somebody did something. And if Daniel did do something, or Malaya, or anybody, where are they? Where are their little bodies? You know, people do, you know, it can't have. Let's suppose that something terrible had happened to them for whatever reason, be it accidentally or intentionally. Where would they put their bodies? Because you'd have to get them away pretty quick before you rang the police. You'd have to make sure the bodies weren't there on the property, because you don't know if the police are just going to turn up straight away with dogs or whatever. But you couldn't take them too far because you wouldn't have the time to do it. And now I'm sort of thinking about this phone, you know, his phone. I was watching a podcast about Erin Patterson, you know, the mushroom murderess. And she deliberately gave a false phone to the police. She made that they thought, you know, she thought she was tricking them, but they realised in the end. But she gave them a phone that she said was her normal phone. Quite a lot of people have more than one phone. I did until recently. I've only got one now. You know, give them the, you know, your, oh yeah, this is my phone, but that might be the phone you only use occasionally, you know, and then you've got another phone that you use most of the time. I think a lot of people have got two phones, to be honest, because what happens is you buy a new phone and, you know, even if you're not doing it deliberately to get an extra phone, you buy a new phone. That's what happened to me. And then I just the thought of transferring everything from one phone to another. So I kept my old phone just like for work and used the new phone for different things. And anyway, to cut a long story short now, because one phone broke and anyway, so I've only got one now. I've only got one phone now. If they came to take my phone, that'd be the only phone that I could give them, unless I gave them, you know, I've got about 3 phones in the drawer that I could give them that don't work. But do you know what I'm saying? So we don't know that the information that they've got off Daniel's phone or Malaya's phone, we don't know that they've not got other phones as well, you know, that the police don't know about. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's the police's job to investigate. We can only comment on what the official, you know, the information is that comes out, which seems to be very conflicting. So, yeah, this is the conundrum we're in as far as the neighbours' testimony is concerned. We've got 2 neighbours who say they heard vehicles in the early hours of the morning, but we've got the Daniel saying and Malaya saying they never left the house after 9 o'clock that evening until it got light. And we've got the police saying they cannot confirm these vehicles. Not that they're saying they weren't there, but they cannot confirm, verify the statement. So it's, yeah, it's a conundrum, isn't it? And we'll follow it. Yeah, very complicated case. Well, you know, hi Emma, the drug side of it, probably not supposed to say drug, but I don't know what YouTube allow and don't allow, but we've not really looked into that, have we? You know, he's denying that he takes drugs and this, that and the other, and you know, the police will definitely have looked into that. Again, we just don't know, do we? We don't know all the details because the police are keeping everything close to their chest. You know, I like to deal with sort of facts, like official things that they say. I don't know. Daniel he's under treatment, I think, for, you know, he's obviously had drug problems in the past, but he says no, not now. Yeah, he said he's he's not, he's undergoing rehab, isn't he, and things like that, and he's definitely not taking drugs now. Now, he doesn't come over as if he's taking drugs, but then I don't know what do you come over as if you're taking drugs, because, I'm not familiar with drugs, so I have no idea. I expect you can cover it up just like you can cover up being an alcoholic or whatever. And I suppose he's not going to come out and say, oh, yeah, I do take drugs. But again, the police, they'll be looking into that. That can be something that might have happened, if he was in a drug-induced rage, or even, you can imagine that Jack and Lilly could have got their hands on something that may have poisoned them or whatever, because I think it's always, the thing that does strike me as well, another thing, when we saw Malehya's mum being interviewed, she said, didn't she, that when she went to the property to help to look for Jack and Lilly, she could not believe the state of the place. And she said that was very unusual for Malaya. And this is what people do, isn't it, when they get into drugs or any addictions? They let things go, don't they? So it's very possible. It's very possible. What's the words I'm looking for? It's very possible if somebody's got drugs in their house, that children can get hold of them, think they're sweets. Imagine like some tablets and things like that. Children might think, oh yeah, I'll take one of them, because they might think it's candy or whatever. I think that's a possibility. So Emma, you would say is a regular. Now somebody told me once, and don't take offence, I take it you're in Canada, but that weed smoking is very common. Mind you, it's probably common anywhere. I don't know, but yeah. So the way they live's not unusual for the area, maybe. No, but the grandma, Malaya's mum, did say how unusual it was, didn't she? She couldn't believe the difference in Malaya when she went there. So I think that can be a sign of all sorts of things, because that can be coercive control. It wasn't only the property and the area around it. It was Malaya herself. She couldn't believe how she'd changed. Weed is legal. Yeah. Somebody, I've never been to Canada, but somebody told me that it was very, very common. Yeah, because they smoke it openly, don't they? So in the parks, it's not something that you have to keep under wraps at all. And I don't think that's a good thing. I know a lot of people think, weed should be legalized. I don't agree with that, because I've seen weed, people say it's not a dangerous drug. It is a dangerous drug. I've seen what it does to people. It's like anything. I suppose like alcohol, it depends. If you just have it smoking a spliff at the weekend or every now and again. But some people, they get up in the morning, they start smoking weed, they smoke it all day. They're constantly high. That is not good, is it? Just like being an alcoholic is not good. And then the other thing is that I heard a policeman say once, who phoned up, that I think is true, that if you legalise weed, it's like, how can I put it? It's like, because it's a gateway drug, isn't it? So if people think it's okay to smoke weed, then they can go on to other drugs. But I don't know. A legal prescription. No, everybody doesn't smoke it. But it does. I'll tell you who it makes aggressive. It does make people aggressive, and there are different kinds of weed, of course. I am a bit of an expert on weed for reasons that I won't go into. Not for me, but for depends on the type of weed. This skunk cannabis weed, it's full of chemicals, and it does affect people's brains, especially young people. That's the other thing. When people's brains, if a lot of kids start smoking it, in early teens, and their brains aren't even developed yet. You know, and this is literally, I've been told this by many psychologists, when children start smoking weed, it is lethal to their brain, and it does make them aggressive, and it does make them where they're not responsible for their actions, that they have psychosis, all those things. It's different when you're older because your brain's already formed and you can make more sensible choices, can't you? And yeah, it can be helpful as well, can't it, for arthritis? And you know, I know that it's got its positive side, but I do think there are different kinds, aren't there, as well? But you know, yeah, I heard about meth as well. Now he made a point of mentioning that, didn't he, that he hasn't got a meth lab. Sometimes I think when someone makes a point of saying they haven't got something, they probably have, I don't know. He brought it up. It wasn't somebody asked him about, have you got a meth lab? He brought it up. So I suppose he sees what people are saying about him. You know, meth is a horrible drug, isn't it? I mean, that is a terrible, terrible, what that does to people. He's still got his teeth, because they tend to lose their teeth, don't they? They tend to lose their teeth, meth takers. I've seen them on Judge Judy and things. You know, they got it. I mean, he's quite young, so maybe hasn't lost his teeth yet. But you know, it's like, God. You know, you see a lot of these meth takers. They're only in their 30s and they look like they're about 70. You know, that's not a good thing, is it? You know, I know, it must be horrible to get addicted to something like meth, and it just sends people crazy, doesn't it? But I'm not, you know, I'm not in favour of drugs. I'm not even legal drugs, you know. I do take an ibuprofen every now and again, just for the hell of it. But that's literally it. Maybe I've been lucky. People have recommended, like, because I do get, you know, arthritis at my advanced age. I do get arthritis and things like that, like, and people have recommended like CBD oil and things like that. Maybe and I keep thinking, I'm going to try that, and I just haven't got round to it yet. Has it affected his teeth? Let's have a look at him. You know, you can normally tell. And how did Malaya meet him and get involved with him? You know, it's so. Do you know what, though? To be fair, drugs. There's a worldwide crisis, isn't there, with drugs? My personal opinion, I think the government wants people to be on drugs. Oh, look, notice when he smiles, he's not showing his teeth, is he? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he's showing his teeth there. That's when he was interviewed after the lie detector test. Look, so see, this is in Spanish. This is news in Spain as well. I think there's a bit of duping delight that. But the warning signs for me with Daniel as well. He seems to be loving it. You know, he doesn't, you know, I remember he was saying, oh yeah, all the jokes that I had with the police, we've had all these jokes. Sometimes he just seems to be enjoying it too much. Oh, hang on, I'm not sharing that. Let me share it. No, it looks too happy. I think Malaya is a very attractive girl. She must have been in love with him at some point. Is this a TikTok?
Not one, but two missing children. A dog that barks at everything, a mother who left on the second day, a father who hasn't seen the kids in 3 years, and a stepfather trying to piece things together.
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody basically in the world at this point is always wanting to know like what happened.
The mystery of what happened to 6-year-old Lily Mae Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack William James Sullivan is indeed gripping the country and beyond. It is Friday, May 2nd. Martell and his partner Malaya Brooks-Murray, the children's mother, are having a lazy morning with their baby. Lily and Jack.
Yeah, his eyes are a bit sort of all over the place. Yeah, no, notice that most of the videos where he's smiling, he's not showing his teeth, is he?
Are in the kitchen alone.
Malaya and the baby were asleep. Lily came in multiple times. I was not in deep sleep by any means. And then about 20 minutes passed, and then when I woke up, Malaya was right beside me. She was still asleep. And I said, I don't hear Lily and Jack.
The time?
Yeah, his teeth aren't brilliant, are they, for a young man? You know, I mean, my teeth aren't brilliant, but, you know, I am sort of a lot older than him. But, yeah.
No one will say for sure, but police say it was around 10 a.m. when they got a 911 call.
I ran up in the woods to the kids. They have cabins up in the woods, which only took me like 30 seconds. I came right back down. She was on the phone with the RCMP.
For 6 days, crews tackled an exhaustive search. The children's mother took the baby to be with her family in another part of the province. Her mother told CBC News the RCMP told them not to speak with news reporters. The RCMP says it just advised everyone to be mindful of the information they share publicly. On May 7th, police scaled back the search.
The probability of survival is taken into consideration.
But search crews returned for 2 more weekends until...
Yeah, it was very sad, wasn't it? Because they had to call off the search in the end because they didn't think, well, you know, they couldn't be alive. I mean, 2 little kids like that can't, if they were in that wilderness somewhere after 2 weeks, they couldn't still be alive. But it's still a matter of finding them, isn't it? But I don't believe they walked off into these woods. I mean, they weren't daft kids. Do you know what I mean? What kids are going to walk off into the woods unless they were taken into the woods?
The end of May, searching wells, mine shafts, and septic systems, even flying a drone beneath the home.
The 4-year-old is wearing some blue dinosaur boots.
Police say they found a boot print.
Yeah.
And listen to this in the radio chatter.
Families brought us to a location there, not far away, that there's a piece of a blanket.
Police won't say anything about a blanket, but...
Yeah, that piece of that blanket that's thought to be a plant. I think the boot print is a plant as well. Why just one boot print? And remember, we had this with the Gus Lamont case in Australia as well, which that's another complete mystery, isn't it? There's been no update on that. Why just one boot print? And where's the other prints? You know, it's like it was a plant, isn't it?
Martell says a piece of Lily's blanket was found near the boot print. He says both children may have undiagnosed autism.
Yeah.
For a lot of
Whatever.
people, this story just sounds odd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then they threw in the autism thing, you know, like it's you just feel like, look at his face there. Yeah, he does look like he's lying, doesn't he, really? He's like thinking, oh, God, what am I going to say now? But, yeah, then it's possible they've got undiagnosed autism. These are just things that they're throwing into the mix, in my opinion, to make it look more likely that they ran off.
Do you understand that?
Yes, I do. And I see it every day online.
He's keenly aware the public suspects him, says the police did too at the start.
Of course, the stepfather was always a prime suspect right off the beginning.
So he offered to take a polygraph test.
I was extremely nervous, especially with the first question they asked you, did you kill Lily and Jack?
That was the first question they asked you.
Yeah. Yeah.
When did you find out the result of your test?
Immediately right after.
What did they say to you?
You did a good job, you passed.
Not one, but
Yeah,
two.
he's absolutely, he's just too smiley. I don't know, he's just too happy with it all.
Two missing children, a dog that barks at everything, a mother who left on the second day, a father who hasn't seen the kids in 3 years, and a stepfather.
Right, so that's just repeating now. So yeah, the father, the bio dad of Jack and Lilly, hasn't seen them for 3 years. So that's another thing, isn't it? So it's a real complete mystery, isn't it? Yeah. I agree with all what you're all saying there in the chat. Blue. I agree. I think that's just been thrown into the mix. It gets thrown into the mix a lot, don't you think? Oh, yeah, I think they had autism. Oh, Brian Koberger, they were talking, the Idaho creepy weirdo killer from Idaho. That's what they were at one point trying to use for his defense. Oh, yeah, they got suspected autism. Oh, gosh. They just bring it in for anything. It's not those children were not assessed for autism. So it's terrible to say that as well, because it casts, I don't know, it just sort of makes it, in the end, people sort of hear it bandied around so much, I think it loses its what's the word I'm looking for, it's like everyone's got autism, but it's a serious condition that people have. Everyone's on the spectrum a little bit, but you keep banding it around like that. It's like they've thrown that into the mix, just to confuse things a bit more. And if they haven't been assessed for it, how can they say suspected autism? Suspected by who? So, then you think, oh, is that like someone like Daniel? Oh, these kids won't do what I say, they must be autistic. Like sometimes they'll use it as an excuse because, can you imagine? Well, little Jack, he had black eyes. He's going to school with black eyes. Now, we've not got to hear about all the ins and outs of that, like from the child protection services and things, but they were under the care of social services. So you can imagine Daniel, like, oh, well, why's Jack got a black eye? Oh, well, he's autistic. He ran into a door. You can just imagine it, can't you? Him using that as an excuse for what he's done. Because they said it about Madeline Soto as well, didn't they? With the Stefan Stearns Madeline Soto case. Oh, yeah, she was being assessed for autism. She had been abused for 8 years. Well, since she was 5 years, sorry. So, you can blame that. They blame it all. So she was falling asleep in class because she had been drugged. We'll never get the full story of what happened to Madeline Soto because Stefan Stearns pled no contest, didn't he? So it was good that poor Madeline wasn't sort of all those videos and photos that he had weren't brought up in court and things, but he's got away with it, really. I mean, I know he's going to prison, but he's got away. He's not had to say what he did to her, but yeah, for years he's drugging her, taking all those videos and photos of her, and they said, didn't they? Oh, well, yeah, she's got autism. That's why she's falling asleep in class. That's why she's doing this. That's why she's doing that. Not because she's been abused. No, it's autism doing it. Joe, it drives me absolutely bonkers how they use it as an excuse, so that's the problem. Something like autism can be used, by predators, really, to explain behaviours that really are because of abuse. Yeah, Blue, it was exactly the same, very similar thing that they were saying, both Jen and Stefan, that Madeline Soto was autistic. But Stefan knew he was drugging her every night or whenever he got a chance to, and abusing her and taking photos. But when she was falling asleep in class, they said it was because she was autistic. Terrible. Yeah, we've gone from one. I do think we've gone from one extreme to another with diagnosis of autism, but it still needs to be diagnosed. So this is people saying, "Oh, they got suspected autism," but they've not been diagnosed with it. Yeah, when I was young, there's people I know that definitely were, or looking back now, would have been diagnosed, but at the time, of course, when I was young, it was the complete opposite, to how it is now. Now you would not feel bad about taking your child for a diagnosis of autism. It's acceptable. It's good, to get your child diagnosed. But years ago, it wasn't. People were. It was. I'm talking. Don't forget, it's not that long ago. They were just locking children up in mental asylums if they were badly behaved or acting a bit strange. This is something good that's happening now, where these kind of conditions are accepted, diagnosed, understood. That's good. That is good. But unfortunately, then you get people jumping on the bandwagon, don't you? Like Daniel and Stefan Stearns and creepy weirdo Brian Koberger, trying to use it to their advantage, using people's understanding to their advantage. It's like mental health issues. Oh, I've got a problem with my mental health. Oh, right. Is that why you just murdered sort of 12 people? It drives me crazy when they blame everything, now quite often blame everything on some, they use it as an excuse. So it feels like it's gone from one extreme to another when people weren't years ago, when people weren't properly diagnosed and suffered because of that, of not being understood for the problems they were having. And now it's gone to the point where people are using it to suit them. Anyway, I suppose what happens when people sort of get arrested or whatever for doing something bad, they go for psychological evaluation, don't they? So hopefully they don't get away with it. I think Stefan Stearns has got away with a lot, to be honest. Though it makes me mad every time I think of that, because he's not even said he was guilty, has he? So anyway. Okay, well, I'm going to go and make some lunch, and just wanted to let you know about this sort of latest thing about Jack and Lilly. So, we've got the two neighbours saying they heard the cars. Did they? Personally, I think they probably did. But the police are saying they can't confirm it. Daniel and Malaya are saying they didn't leave the house from 9 o'clock the previous evening until it got late. So somebody's lying somewhere along the line. So it's either you got to think, well, are these two neighbours lying? And don't forget, they heard the car off. One of them heard it 5 times, between 5 and 6 times. It wasn't just, was that a car that I just heard? It was over and over again. So you talk about 2 neighbours that said they heard cars as well. So either so if you think they're not telling the truth, it means they're both not telling. That seems, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, but do you understand what I'm saying? It's not just one person that's saying it, there's 2 of them saying it, but the police say they can't verify it. Daniel says he definitely didn't leave the house from that. So where's someone's lying somewhere along the line, we've got to see what comes out in the wash. I think the police will have suspects. even though they'll turn around and say, oh no, we've got no, obviously just the fact they got Daniel in for a lie detector test and asked him specifically, did you kill Jack and Lilly? That's a strange thing, isn't it? They went straight in with that. They didn't, it wasn't like, oh, well, do you know what's happened to them? It was like, did you murder them? So, but he passed, unless they're lying to him that he passed, because it could be, because, I think if the police think that Daniel has got something to do with the girls, with the kids' disappearance, they want the bodies. Yeah, they want the bodies, don't they? So they will leave Daniel unarrested, even if they think that Daniel did it for whatever reason. They will leave him unarrested because they'll want him to lead them to the bodies. They'll think that sooner or later he will relax and maybe give away some clues as to where those kids are, if he has done something to them. There'll be all those things, all these things in the mix. And then as far as Malaya is concerned, my question would be, why did she leave the next day? Why did she leave Daniel? What happened? 1 minute she's in bed with him with the baby. They're listening, everything's hunky-dory. And then the next day she's gone. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's similar. I see what you're saying, Blue, but Jen didn't disappear, did she? She didn't go off, leave. She had to move out of the house because the police she had to move out, didn't she? But she didn't go voluntarily. I do think Jen genuinely didn't know. Again, it's just my opinion. I don't think Jen knew what had happened to Madeleine. I think Jen is thick as mince. But I do think probably or possibly she may have been drugged as well, just the same as Madeleine. So I don't feel like Jen is complicit, except in being an absolute idiot, But I don't understand how she could have packed Madeleine off to sleep with Stefan, but I don't think she thought us. Don't forget, Stefan was supposedly experiencing erectile dysfunction, wasn't he? Wasn't supposed to be capable of sex. So, maybe that's part of the reason. I wonder if one day we'll hear from Jen, because she's not done any interviews, has she? Or I wonder if she's in some mental home somewhere or something, because it's bad enough, I just think for Jen, the realisation of what happened and how stupid she was will it be tough for her to live with. I don't know how she's going to be living with it, to be honest. But yeah, she's not been seen and she's not been interviewed, Blue, has she? I wonder where she is. Jen, and what, because she didn't turn up at the sentencing. But of course she was hated as well. So, if she turned up at the sentencing, that wouldn't, you could imagine there's probably be baying mobs outside calling for her to be arrested or whatever. So, yeah. Oh, that Stefan Stearns, it makes me angry every time I think about it. That I just feel that, all right, he's in prison now for the rest of his life, but I just feel that he hasn't been made accountable. He hasn't even pled guilty. He's pled no contest. And nobody will ever find out what really happened. It's him pretending to be a victim. So, yeah. Okay. So, if I hear anything about this case or about the Gus Lamont case, which is very similar, isn't it? Little Gus, he's disappeared in Australia, and it's Strange, like a boot print being found there as well. You just think, I don't know, there's all weird things about these cases. That's another complicated case. Should be easy, you know. 1 minute he was there playing in the sand, the next minute he was gone. Where can he have gone? But no, don't know anything about what happened to little Gus either. Let's just have a little look at him. I looked before I did this because, you know, while I was preparing for this video. Where's my picture of Gus? Oh. I did a little Google just to find out if there was any more news about Gus. Nothing. That's another mysterious case. No, these children that just disappear into a wisp of smoke. Just doesn't happen, does it? So what's the truth? Okay, I'm going. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share as well if you can. And they have this thing on the videos now, hype. Don't they? I don't understand anything about that, so I can't even ask you to hype really, because I wouldn't even know how to tell you how to do it. But please like and subscribe. And also, if you've got social media and you've got time and you feel like it, please follow me on social media, especially TikTok, where I'm just 3 away from 1,000 followers. So I'm trying to get, I don't know what difference it makes. I don't understand TikTok. I just put short clips on there, and people seem to watch them. So yeah. So I've got the 2 YouTube channels, the TikTok, Facebook, Twitter or X, and Instagram. If you feel like it, if you're social media friendly, and if you've already followed me on those, thank you so much. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Oh, I'll see. Oh, look, the dog. As soon as the dog hears me saying that, hello. As soon as she hears me saying that, she knows that the video's nearly over, and she comes up. Hello, baby. Yes, I'm nearly finished. Give you some attention. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Look how she reacts to that as soon as I say it. And until then, as always, and I'll see you in Members tonight. So yeah, why not join us in Members? Until then, may your God go with you. Bye. I've got to work. And thank you for the super sticker skits. All right. Oh, she's banged her head on the table now. She's getting all excited. Okay.